Hey Cheds, how are you, buddy? Happy to be here. Excited to be here. Excited to talk some crypto with you today. Temperature's still cold, even though it's spring, but today was kind of a sunny day with a slightly stormy horizon. So I think that's kind of a lot of the price action, if you wanted me to describe it. That's what we kind of saw today. It's kind of what we're seeing right now. We talked about our last show about how was this a no trade zone, and you kind of mentioned is this similar to the friend zone with the girl you like, and I think that's pretty apt in terms of some of the price volatility, kind of the price action we've seen over the past few days. Fascinating through the day-to-day where we were talking about, are we kind of having a nice little run here? We love seeing a lot of price consolidation, a lot of stability, actually, really some decent price stability through the day-to-day, not a lot of major fluctuations, and, kind of felt like we were in a nice little move there and kind of moving on up. And then sure enough, Bitcoin takes the rug out from under us a little bit about an hour ago in that nasty hourly candle we just saw. And it'd be interesting to kind of see how we close up the day in the next 20 minutes. Stand by 1 minute, guys. We'll take care of this little fix here. 1 minute, guys.
There. So once again, I'm back. I was never gone. I just wanted to see if you guys were paying attention. We're starting out tonight, market cap, crypto market cap. We're at about 330 billion coming in here. We have seen some downward pressure recently. As we pointed out on our most recent update, Big Jonas, we are currently range bound on a 4-hour chart between an upper and a lower trend line, pretty well defined. We actually, what was interesting, we were hanging around 86, and then we just had that big flash pullback that you pointed to, and it looks like we just touched that lower trend line. We're still holding it though in the 4-hour right now, Big Jonas. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. We're still kind of in between these two big trend lines in the 4-hour. What do you think?
Yeah, Cheds, I agree. I mean, we really haven't broken down yet, if you want to call it that. We've been seeing this sideways, almost daisy chain price action. You brought up the 4-hour. You could argue we kind of have reset ourselves in the 4-hour stocking, kind of just, taking a breather. Sideways action can definitely be a positive thing because it sets a lot of stability in the price and allows, new accumulation at this current price point. You brought up the coin market cap just a minute ago, and I wanted to touch briefly on that, kind of have a sense about where we are in terms of money flow. On our last show, we were talking about how we really wanted to see a break of that 6 billion range there, because that will show us that there's a little more steady momentum, money flow flowing into Bitcoin. And yesterday, we closed at about 5.6 billion. So we took 3 billion off the previous day. And today, I mean, we're a billion short almost in what we were able to pull yesterday. I know there's a little more time left in the day, but significant volume money drop over the past 24 hours. So even though we've had a lot of the sideways action, the fact that the money flow is decreasing is kind of an ominous sign now.
Is it decreasing that much? I mean, I've got March 22nd, 5.5 billion, then I've got 5.95 on the 23rd, and we're going to probably come in around 5.7. So that's really not that much of a change, Big Jonas.
Well, we did 5.6 on the 24th yesterday.
No, that's today. That's today's candle, which is about to close. So, we actually did more volume today than 2 days ago.
The point is, I think, is that if we're kind of continue to be in this fives to mid fives, comparing that to the 9 billion we were
Yeah. No,
basically
that's a
pulling
good
in a
point.
month ago,
Yeah.
half that money flow is just evaporated from the Bitcoin price action. So you're right. We're kind of hovering around here. There is consistency in that volume, but you have to ask yourselves, is that kind of money flow, is that what will take Bitcoin,
Right.
back to that $10,000 price level?
Well, you're not going to see that type of volume on in a consolidation phase. We've talked about this a lot. We had those nice three white soldiers off the bottom, and we have this sideways action. So we're about to close this candle here. It is still a red candle, but it's a much smaller range than yesterday, Big Jonas. So that might suggest we're catching a little bit of support, on the daily chart. I'm going to zoom in real quick on the 4-hour. I showed you guys the 4-hour with those big trend lines we talked about. And on the 1-hour, we're still kind of right at that trend line, but there's not a lot of strength either, so it still could kind of go sideways here for a bit. I think we just, with Bitcoin, for my money, as long as it holds this lower trend line, I think we're good. The bulls still have an argument for now. I know you think we're going below 8. I know you and I have talked about that. So you think we're going to go down below 8 again shortly, Big Jonas?
Well, when we were at like 9.2 area, I was looking for that 8,000 touch and basically coinciding with Litecoin, which we'll talk about in a minute. What's a little scary to me now is the way we've kind of trickled down from the 9.2, 9 run range to now this 8.4 range. So what's concerning me is, though, I'm looking for that retest of the 8.2, potentially $8,000 range. If we continue to trickle down slowly to that range, I'm almost want to feel that it's not that hard then if we kind of slowly trickle down there to easily break through that 8,000 range on the down and basically retest that 7.877 again. If we were still at 9.2 or 9 and I wanted to be a very aggressive in terms of a nice entry on a really big dip, I'd be fine with an 8.2 to 8 range. But as we're slowly trickling down to this low 8s, almost feels like that 8.2, 8,000 range isn't as strong as it felt like several days ago, and that
Hold on.
it'd be easier to be breached in this circumstance.
I'm just going to counter that. I think if we were still at 9.2, it would be weird, right? Because we had those nice 3 candles, and if we were able to go sideways for 4 days and hold all those gains, I mean, that'd be weird, right? So when we hit 9.2 initially, we were overbought in the daily chart. So I feel like you're kind of arguing against yourself. If we're not really going down that much over the last 5 days, we've really only given up like a little bit over 1, maybe 1.5 of these big candles in 5 days of consolidation. So I don't like why we shouldn't still be at 9.2. It'd be weird for us to still be at 9.2. Wouldn't that be crazy strong for us to still be at 9.2 with an overbought daily chart?
I agree with your analysis there, but you have to ask yourself, because we're range bound, and you brought up the point that we're still stuck in these 2 lines here where you draw on, which basically says, all right, we really haven't fallen apart yet, but we're still in this kind of consolidation market saying, okay, let's kind of hang out here for a while. And we are in this low price volume environment here where the cash flow really isn't coming in, to push this higher. So, okay, so if there's no cash flow pushing this higher, I don't see how we could have stayed in the 9s, and now I don't even feel like the mid to low 8s is even a safe zone here. It almost feels like all the money coming in is just enough to prop this and keep this in the 8s. And every day I feel we're under that 10,000 psychological range is another day where we're kind of content with being in this area, slowly trickling down to a lower price. And
I mean, are we slowly trickling down, or are we slowly trickling up?
I think both are correct. We are doing the same thing. We are slowly trickling up, if you want to compare us to our dip to 7.2, which is completely accurate. And from that dip, the bulls are definitely still in control. But if you want to kind of take a broader view about what it's been taking just to maintain these mid-8s area here, feels like all the money that's there is just holding that zone. And it took all day here to kind of daisy chain up back to 8.6, 8.650, and then to give it all back in just 1 hour tells me there's no conviction with this price point now, and I wouldn't be surprised if continued deflation happens tomorrow.
Let's go ahead and take a look at Litecoin, Big Jonas. Let's look at that daily chart first. And I have some previous lines I've drawn here. I'm just going to remove them just to make it a little bit cleaner. And we're doing similar to what Bitcoin's doing, is we're consolidating here. So we're closing this candle here in about 12 minutes, Big Jonas. It's a pretty tight range. Looks like a nice recovery from yesterday on the daily chart. What's jumping out to you?
Yeah, you mentioned the daily there, and Litecoin's kind of had a similar situation to Bitcoin. It's actually a little more bullish. You could argue the daily actually might close, a nice green, at least a nice green candle there.
Mm-hmm.
Volume steadily decreasing, kind of similar to Bitcoin there. When we had that bottom a few days ago, basically a week ago, that 137 to 140 price range, really saw some nice buy volume there, some nice money flow, and we're kind of looking for that continuation. Unfortunately, every day through the week, you can see this slow decline in volume. Every day was less volume than the previous one, and that's kind of where we're hovering in this, 160s area, for the past couple days there, and not really finding any major conviction, in the price action until we get some serious money flow. So Bitcoin seems to be still riding the show, and Litecoin seems to be following in suit in terms of price action.
All right. Let's take a look at Ethereum, ETH on the daily chart. We are currently at 520. We do have some lower trend line support. Ethereum is hoping to hold here, but we haven't really seen any kind of a strength in any kind of strength here. There's really no recovery yet for Ethereum, Big Jonas. Almost a no strength yet, but and kind of a descending triangle too.
Yeah, Cheds, I agree. This one's more or less closer to the Litecoin chart than the Bitcoin chart. We saw a super dump volume last Sunday. Super wick down, way under the Bollinger, basically signaled an oversold capacity, a nice entry point there. Had a great bounce. I mean, we had several days here. We had some great bounce, great money flow coming in, but same deal every day. We're seeing a little bit less, and we're kind of in this trickle down, low volume capacity with Ether. Still holding up decent, but basically, you need 24 hours here. You have all three of them basically within a 1% range, plus or minus. So we're kind of seeing that kind of consistent sideways action with Ether as well.
All right. Let's see here. Anything going on in the chat room? How are the people doing, Big Jonas? What are they saying out there?
What's up, fellas? Great to see everybody, in the chat here. We've got 300 of our closest friends here, talking crypto with us, watching us, and basically wanting to interact with us. We got a couple alt requests here we can definitely talk about,
sure,
momentarily. What we like to do here, Cheds, we like to talk crypto. We like to kind of look out for the noobs, kind of those new players that are looking for some direction. I was a noob once, you were a noob once. I feel like we were noobs for years, really trying to figure out this game of basically how to become a trader, how to learn from our mistakes, how to learn how to properly read charts. These are all things that we're basically working on and constantly, trying to hone our skills. This is every day I feel like I learn something new, whether it's by reading somebody else's chart or thoughts, having a debate about a certain perspective of things. The cool thing about crypto, which we discussed, is that, this is a 24/7, 365 game, and, it never ends. So these are the things that I think we like to talk about. And it's just great to see everybody who wants to learn, listen, discuss.
Good. Well, we're happy to have everyone here on Let's Talk Crypto. I am Big Cheds. I'm with Big Jonas joining me. Let's see. I'm going to pull up TRX, Big Jonas. TRX is the #1 for volume right now, 24-hour volume on Binance. Just to kind of zoom in, we are seeing an attempted support hold at the lower Bollinger area. We are approaching some horizontal support here, historic support. If I do zoom out to the 4-hour, I'm showing that we're near to a reset. We're getting close to a reset here in the 4-hour. Not quite there, but we're getting pretty close. And I do like the OBV. What about you, Jonas? What do you think here about TRX?
Yeah, Chad, this one has been on a rip and tear since, it kind of bottomed there about a week ago. Just amazing price volume. You almost in the 4 hour you mentioned there, basically see a great impulse wave up, little consolidation there, then a super nice continuation impulse range, ending on the 4 hour with that super long wick, basically saying the bulls have kind of exhausted themselves when it peaked out at 606 satosh. Amazing. Now we see basically this super consolidation here of the way overbought. The daily suggests basically we might be finding a little more downward pressure there, and we're super topped off on the stock and RSI on the daily there. RSI basically saying it needs to cool off as well. So this one's been on a rip. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little consolidation over the next day or two and see if it can continue its run.
What levels are you looking to see if it holds for you on this pullback?
So, let's start with the 4 hour there. And if you kind of go back in history and see where we've seen kind of levels of price history and confluence, and, we definitely see that 500 Satoshi range there as a lot of history there. Looks like we were back there in the beginning of March and then some other hits previous months. And, again, 500 is somewhat of a psychological range there for sure. Almost feels like we kind of stopped there when we were on our uptrend the past few days there. So let's reset at 500. Let's see if we can kind of find a bottom there. There's still a lot of money flow flowing into TRX. It seems to be a pretty hot one. It has a lot of attention on it past few days. And I just want to make a brief point about the alts in general. We've been watching this past couple days here. A lot of alts have been just popping with some tremendous percentage volume moves, 10, 20, 30%, almost kind of feels like where we were back in January when the alts are exploding. Kind of have two quick thoughts about that. The first one is, a lot of these charts have reset on the alts. Some of these are down 72 to 85% from their nut peak on their parabolic moves. So from a risk versus reward aspect, you could argue, all right, I guess there isn't the oddest thing to see money flowing in here. The other point I wanted to make is about Bitcoin price stability. Really, I feel has a lot to do with the alt price action. The longer Bitcoin can stay in a relative low volatility movement, it gives the alts a chance to run. The reason for that is because, we're buying these alts with Bitcoin or Ether. So we're exchanging Bitcoin or Ether to buy these alts. So if the price of Bitcoin were to drop, let's just say 10%, you would basically see an instant 10% drop in your alt price, even the Satoshi level remains the same. So in these levels, in these areas of basically stable price action with Bitcoin, this does allow for a lot of these alts to kind of push through and see how far they can take themselves.
Very good point. We got to keep an eye on the on Bitcoin because everything's connected to it. Next on Binance, we do have BNB coin, second most volume. BNB Big Cheds, and this is Big Jonas. This is Big Cheds. Sorry.
That's my name.
Yeah, Big Jonas. Why don't you go ahead and pull up BNB here? Let's start with the daily chart on BNB. Pretty nice consolidation. Interesting. It didn't give up more gains actually. On the daily chart is what kind of jumps out to me. Had a really nice day yesterday, and it kind of held most of its gains on the daily. And the 4-hour chart, getting pretty close to a reset. So this one's kind of interesting. If this is going to continue, we're getting close to a point where we're going to see it, show that strength. What's jumping out to you, Big Jonas?
Yeah, Chad, you mentioned the daily chart, and the first thing that really pops out, other than the fact this is had just a great little run over the past several days, is we have basically two long wicks on yesterday's daily, and now we're about to put in on today's daily, and they kind of top out at roughly the same place there, which basically shows the bulls, really tried to push this past that 16,000 Satoshi range, got rejected, tried to do it again today, and we're actually putting in a lower high there, which basically signaled that this impulse wave, for the moment is done, and now we're kind of in that consolidation range. Because this one ran so strong over the past several days, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a decent pullback to kind of reset the chart here. I'm loving the money flow, and I do like basically where it did find a bottom and was able to put this impulse wave in. But for right now, I feel we're definitely overbought, and we'll look to see this kind of pull down and allow the chart to reset.
Yeah, but to where? We're already seeing What do we got? This is about to, so we already have this nice bullish spinning top on this 4-hour candle right now, Big Jonas, and we're approaching oversold with a strong on-balance volume. I mean, I'm saying we might not see a big pullback because of what I'm seeing on the 4-hour.
Yeah, I agree, Cheds. I mean, you mentioned the 4-hour there, and we talked about the wicks on the up. Now we're basically seeing support wicks on the down that's showing maybe there is a good stabilization here at right around this 15,000 Satoshi range. The bulls are really trying to put in a fight and really show how bullish this one can be. So far we've seen some pretty solid money flow, but again, the stock and RSI really hasn't reset fully on the 4-hour there, and the daily is showing we're pretty topped off now.
All right, we have DNT, Big Jonas, DNT, another big one on Binance. Hourly looks pretty nice. I'm right here on the hourly chart. I'm showing a potential bounce here off the middle Bollinger, Big Jonas, with the stock RSI reset potentially. It's a little early and some light volume, but this from the 1-hour standpoint looks pretty good. 4-hour inconclusive. We still could be churning, but this could be the base here of a new leg. What do you see here for DNT?
Yeah, Cheds, you started with the 1-hour there, and that's just a great example of how the Bollinger can be so in play when you have a stock with money flow. It's been basically appreciating the middle Bollinger all the way during this run. It broke the top, found support in the middle, broke the top again, and currently, as you pointed out, is finding support there in the middle Bollinger. So I like to see that. I like to see kind of that consistency there. Kind of zoom out to the 4-hour. We're pretty overbought here. We're basically we couple times, pierced the upper Bollinger on 2 pretty massive bullish wicks, kind of consolidated both times. Kind of feels like we are in that consolidation zone. Volume's kind of slowing down here, and that may suggest that we've kind of topped off a lot. The daily also suggests that we're pretty much topped off. The RSI is, super spike up there. This one has had a pretty nice run, but these long wicks are concerning. Almost feels like every time we put in that bullish push, it's just being sold into.
Big Jonas, go to the daily and look at the volume that we got today compared to this is pretty outstanding.
Yeah, that money flow is super strong there, back-to-back days. But look how much of that we gave back.
Yeah.
It's almost telling me that every time this thing pushed, there were just sellers there looking to take profits. And even though we put in some massive candles and we just closed the day there on the money, these long wicks here are telling me that, every time this thing keeps moving up to some decent moves, it just gets sold into.
Let's do one more on Binance, and we'll go to the chat room for some requests. IOST, Big Jonas. Why don't you start us off on IOST?
Sure, Cheds. Let's pull up, the daily here, and wow, just great money flow here. This is an example of where the stock and RSI can basically be topped off for several days and just keep on running. Tremendous money flow here. I'm loving it. The RSI, solid, but not super overbought. We've basically been riding the upper Bollinger on the 4-hour, pretty much for a couple days here. Every time we seem to reset, money flow keeps flowing in. So this one has definitely been on a rip. I'd say we've had a great run. We've basically, because we've been so topped off on the daily there, it basically says to me that, a lot of the money in this one has been made, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're basically able to find that consolidation. If we do consolidate, this is going to take several days here just because of how far we've been able to run. We bottomed out, around 189, 200 Satoshi, well over 300 now. That's super volume there, but the daily basically suggests we're really topped off now. Let's reset this, and let's basically allow it to get that next run.
I'd like to see, I agree with everything you've said, but you could still, I'm looking for a continuation, and I'm looking at the 1-hour. We do have a reset here on the 1-hour. I'm looking to see if this 320 level holds, so I'd be kind of watching that. I don't think we'll hold the middle Bollinger and the pullback. I don't see it in the candles, any strength in the candles yet, but we do have some support here on the 1-hour. So yeah, if I'm in IOST and I'm stubborn and I want to hold for more, I'm probably watching this 320 level And I'm most definitely watching down here at the 287 level with all that prior support. I'm going to go ahead, Big Jonas, why don't you scan the chat room? I'm going to go ahead and remind our viewers, this is Let's Talk Crypto. And I am Big Cheds. We're here with Big Jonas. Sunday, March 25th, 2018. Please go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I am at Big Cheds. Please ask questions. Reach out to me. On the blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com. Lots of cool articles about trading. Not just crypto, but other stuff too. And on YouTube, Cheds, just search for Cheds Trading or search for funny cat videos. And either one, I'll show up. What do we have here in the chat room, Big Jonas? What are the people saying, and what's the first request for tonight?
All right, Chaz, we got some great friends of ours in the chat talking crypto. We got lots of requests coming in. It's great to see everybody in here. Should we go ahead with our requests? How's that sound?
Yeah, let's go. Let's hear the first one.
All right, so we're going to talk about our old friend Neo. What's up, everybody who's asking for the Neo? Matthew Kearney, was nice to see you here, buddy. Let's pull up the Neo chart and take a peek.
So we're trying to form a bottom here on Neo, and as this daily candle closes, Big Jonas, what's jumping out to me is I'm noticing a potential double bottom that, you know, it still needs to be tested here. A potential double bottom in the 7,700 area, and we are attempting to recross up with our stochastics RSI, which is notable. So if you were apt to enter here and you set your stop loss right at this level, like right around 7,700, you might be catching a bottom. What do you think?
Yeah, Chiz, I agree. I think the stocking, you know, it hasn't come down that far, but you can definitely see that crossover, you know, showing a little bullish intent. The RSI on the daily has definitely reset quite nicely. And as you mentioned, you know, I agree, we probably could put in this double bottom. You know, a couple days ago, we had a really nice impulse wave off the bottom. We were way oversold. We pierced the lower Bollinger there, kind of came back up, put in, I guess, kind of a dragonfly, kind of a, you know, basically showing that we kind of have exhausted the bulls there. But what I like to see is when we came back there, we were basically finding another support, you know, where we previously were in that 772,000 Satoshi range. So yeah, we definitely could be seeing some bottoming here for sure.
I'm going to quickly just peek in the 4 hour. We did just finish with a nice candle. Piercing the middle Bollinger. We have a little room to run on the 4, and the 1 hours is in a consolidation period pattern right now. We are in a bullish pennant pattern currently on the 1 hour. What's the next request?
All right, Chad's got a bunch of people looking for us to do the ICX chart. What's up, Richie? Great to see you here in the chat. ICX.
So ICX, I'm going to go with the daily chart on ICX. We are we're consolidating, but we kind of gave back a lot of gains from the day before. So we're clearly out of our immediate downtrend here in the daily chart. I would like to see us hold this level of 3,800. That would be the level I'd want to see held on the daily chart. If I look closer in the 4 hour, things are flattening out a little bit. We are reaching a area of support, Big Jonas. If you go back in the 4 hour, you know, we're kind of finding support where you might think we'd find, right?
Yeah, I agree, Chad. You know, we had a nice little run there. The one thing that is kind of concerning me, though, on the ICX chart is the drop of volume. We had some great money flow come in several days ago, really pushing the price action higher. And then the past 2 days, kind of lackluster, dollar volume here. That may suggest because the RSI, the stock and RSI on the daily there was pretty topped off, and because of this low money flow, I almost feel like the buyers are kind of waiting for the chart to reset, a little more consolidation to take place before they put in another entry. Okay,
what's next up, my friend? That's good analysis.
All right, we got a couple of people looking for the LSK. Raven Mutter, good to see you, brother. Let's do a look at LISK.
LISK BTC. That's not one that's available on TradingView, unfortunately.
LSK.
Oh, well, that would be my fault. That would be my fault again. All right, so LSK, I'm going to go ahead, Big Jonas, and this is Big Cheds. Yeah, okay. I mean, we're trying to find support. There's a little bit of hope. You know, both today and the day before, we had a really tight range, Big Jonas, which shows selling slowing down. But it's still too early to have too much hope there, and the 4 hours getting to be overbought already. So, yeah, I'm unfortunately a little bit bearish in this one in the short term. How about you, buddy?
Yeah, Cheds, I really agree with your analysis there. This one isn't really selling me yet. I
Yeah.
agree the volume is pretty low. We're kind of been seeing this sideways trend action for quite a while, which, can be a positive sign that we're finding some support. The market's telling us this price, area here, the 130 to 140,000 Satoshi range. We've been here for quite a while here, so I like to see that. But yeah, the volume is just really low. We've clearly reset on the RSI, but the stock and RSI says there could be some more downward pressure.
All right, let's do one more request here, and then we'll do a quick update on the major coins. What do we have in the chat room, Big Jonas?
Sounds good. Shout out to Dan Durilio. Let's do some DGB.
What is that? DGB. Okay.
Sorry, DGD. Sorry, DGB.
Well, which one? DGB? Okay.
That's a good question. There are two.
Yeah, Digibyte. So,
There we go.
okay, so Digibyte sounds like a dog snack or something, like a Digibyte. Daily chart, it's a little hot. It doesn't mean it can't keep running. We did have a really nice day yesterday. Okay, so we actually can still run to the upper Bollinger. So this could easily go to 3 or 310 without being too hot on the daily Digibyte. 4-hour chart, we are showing a nice charge here, and notably we have cleared prior resistance here, Big Jonas. What are you seeing on Digibyte?
Yeah, Cheds, I agree. We're kind of seeing this sideways pattern here. Volume consistent. I like to see that. It's not a dead stick, that's for sure. The chart's really not telling me really anything in either direction here. It's kind of been daisy chaining. The daily, if you zoom out pretty far, you basically see it is in this steady uptrend where every time we have a nice move, it kind of consolidates back, gives up a lot of those gains, but the overall chart is basically still showing this nice bullish, uptrend that, I kind of like.
The daily chart, what frame are you looking at?
Basically, sorry, I was in the 4-hour there. I apologize. Yeah, the daily is basically still showing that as well, kind of this daisy chain upward momentum, but there really isn't much screaming out on the chart in terms of action here. So I want to hold off
on the 4-hour. I am seeing higher lows and higher highs. Are you not on the 4-hour for Digibyte?
I see that. Yep.
Okay, so that's something to keep an eye on. That's what you really want to see if you do have a bottom, because we do have a clear bottom here. With this double bottom candles here back on the 18th, and we are putting in those higher lows. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's do a quick update here. We're going to go ahead and jump back to a 1 hour on Bitcoin. I have the Bitfinex server currently. We appear to be middle channel consolidating, but I do like the candles, Big Jonas. I have a nice long-legged doji here last hour. And kind of a double lower shadow here on that dip below the Bollinger. So it's kind of, it could go sideways for a few more hours while it's consolidating, but on balance volume is dipping. I'm not seeing strength either. So I don't know.
Yeah, Cheds. Yeah. Something that really is sticking out to me right now on Bitcoin is I believe we're putting in kind of a bearish wedge here where we're we had that, really nasty candle several hours ago. We closed the day out in kind of a, a little bearish doji there.
Where's the wedge? What time frame?
So let's look at the 15-minute, and basically what we're seeing there is, we basically saw a couple wicks basically saying we're not going to drop below, 8,400 with conviction right now. We saw some buying pressure come in, but we're forming this slight upward wedge, which is similar on a micro scale.
Are you on Coinbase?
To what on the GDAX Coinbase there, to what we kind of formed through the day, this slow trickle up, only to dump out. I wouldn't be surprised if we touch, once we break over 8.5, maybe get closer to 8.550, we basically break down again. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
I'm seeing strength. I'm seeing a little strength in the 15-minute, Big Jonas. Sorry to jump over you, but we actually broke the high of that. We have we have the hammer, and then we have the bullish spinning top. We broke that high this hour already, which is kind of interesting. Already 12 minutes in, so we have a higher high. I mean, we could be forming a bear flag, but we did we not break the high of the bullish spinning top?
We did, but I'm seeing two things here. I'm seeing after that massive dump candle, which really was a lot of volume that came in there, we've basically every 15 minutes since then, less volume, less volume. So lower volume.
Lower sell volume.
Lower volume in general too, while the price is rising.
Equal price to when we were rising 2 hours ago right?
Well, okay, so you brought up the 15-minute, and you see how far it fell under the Bollinger there.
Right.
So it was an oversold,
right,
basically, that brought in the buyers. That's what I feel we're seeing in there.
So we're going middle Bollinger then.
Yeah, but I'm not. Well, even I mean, honestly, I don't even think we're going to make it that far up.
Really? Why not? Look, we've always on the 15, we've always come back to the middle Bollinger. Look at this, pretty much. I mean,
we have, but can you show me a nasty candle like that? You know, we basically had that, was it yesterday when we broke 89, and that brought us back all the way to 84.
84.
We gave up all that progress we had throughout last night and the entire day today. So even though I totally agree, these past 15 minutes there, putting in a nice green candles, nice movement there, decreasing volume. This has bull trap written all over it to me.
Yeah, it could. I mean, yeah. I mean, 1 hour's cooling off, 4 hours is in a decent position. You're at the, I mean, it depends. I mean, but I don't know. I kind of favor it. You're at the lower trend line. So if your thesis is that you're holding the lower trend line, then I think it's probably decent. Let's go ahead and quickly check out Litecoin. Litecoin's hanging in there. Let's go to the, what do you want to do, 15-minute? Actually, why don't you take us through GDAX? What are you seeing on the order flow, Big Jonas? For let's go to Litecoin. What are you seeing on the order book for Litecoin?
Sure, Chad. So we're going to pull up Litecoin. Let's just hit the daily just to get a little broader sense here. And if GDAX on the daily there, looking at Litecoin, current price 160.57 cents. We've been talking about trying to hold this 160 range here for a couple days now. The very first thing that basically pops out to me is the decreasing price volume there. Every day since our kind of low we had back on February 1st through February 6th, you can just see this steady decline in volume here. And that's a little scary to me, because even though we're kind of holding our mid 150s, 160s price range here, the money flow continues to decrease. And I fear it's only a matter of time before there's just not enough money flow to basically keep this propped up. And again, depending upon the price action of Bitcoin, it's a lot going to determine what happens with Litecoin. If you want to click on the depth chart there on Litecoin, and let's zoom out here and kind of get a sense of where the money's parked right now. So right now, I'm actually not really seeing a conviction either way, bullish or bearish. I'm kind of seeing a most equivalency on both sides there. There's money prop lower, trying to look for a lower price point. Money props higher, basically trying to sell at a higher price point. So in terms of the depth chart, in terms of where the money is right now, I'm really not seeing much of a direction either way. Maybe we'll find a little more direction if we pull up the Bitcoin depth chart and see if we can see anything different there. So, looking at the Bitcoin chart here, and let's just start with the daily again, just to get kind of a rounded sense of where we've been. Great massive volume early February, and then basically slowly declining ever since. A little bit less, little bit less, little bit less. Let's pull up the depth chart here and kind of see where we're at. Kind of zoom out here and just get a sense to where the money is. And okay, so this is something interesting here. I'm already zoomed out all the way on the depth chart on Bitcoin, and I'm seeing slight bearishness here. Basically, I'm seeing more money parked at a lower price point on Bitcoin here. It's not super bearish, not anywhere close to where I was seeing it, when we were coming down and retesting that 7,200 range here. But I am seeing some bearishness in the chart here, which basically tells me that right now, this is kind of a bearish leaning market in terms of where the money's parked.
Okay. Let's go ahead and that's great. That's a great update. Let's go ahead and jump back in the chat room. We'll take a few more requests here and keep the ball rolling.
Okay, let's Cocktail Barbell Tender wants us to do the ENG chart, please. So since he asked
Okay.
so nightly, let's pull up the ENG chart.
All right, ENG on the daily chart. We are reaching the upper Bollinger Band. We have had a nice recovery, but we are getting a signal, Big Jonas. And guys, this is Big Cheds on Let's Talk Crypto. We are getting, almost a classic doji, almost, like almost a basic doji here. So we're getting a sign that the price is reaching some resistance and may need to go sideways for a while. Although we do have a nice reset here on the 4-hour chart showing that we are holding the middle Bollinger for the third time here on the consolidation move. I guess you got to kind of watch this I would watch this 4-hour chart because there's been really no let up in the on-balance volume. We have a really nice steady increase. We've already almost completely reset here, and we're still holding the middle Bollinger. So as long as this middle Bollinger holds, I think we can keep going. What are you seeing, Big Jonas?
Yeah, Cheds, I think you pretty much spelled it out there. This one has been on a really nice rip since its bottom about a week or so ago. It's been riding on the 4-hour, as you mentioned, kind of that upper Bollinger every time it needed to do a little reset. Did a slight test of the middle Bollinger, really never hit it there. So that's showing me some significant bullishness. I love the money flow, but the daily is basically saying that we are pretty topped off here. You know, the stocking has basically been pegged off scale for a couple days now. We are seeing those wicks the past couple days basically saying that maybe the bulls are exhausted here. This chart needs a reset. I think I love the money flow here, the nice healthy chart. These are things we like to see. But from a technical standpoint, this one needs a reset if you want to see a continued bullish move. Okay.
I agree, but I'm not convinced it doesn't keep going. Because if it holds this middle Bollinger, then, and especially if this can break 24, 5, 6, 7, I think that actually would be a buy signal, as crazy as that sounds. What do we have next in the chat room, Big Jonas?
All right, got a bunch of requests here. Let's look at our old friend Ada, ADA, also known as Cardano.
Okay, Ada Cardano on the daily chart. We're seeing some higher lows here, which is nice in the daily chart. We have our bottom candle, our hammer candle in the bottom here, and we have our new high, which is at about 23.35. We now have our higher low, right around 2100. And we are kind of churning nicely in the 4-hour. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, Cheds, we've been following ADA for a while. We basically like to talk about it in our shows here just because it's one of those top 10 alts in terms of market cap. I agree we're basically seeing this sideways action here. Money flow is still pretty consistent, which I like to see. The 4-hour, the Bollinger is tightening. I like to see that as well. It basically kind of foreshadows a move in the near future. The 4-hour really hasn't done a nice reset, which I like to see. Might kind of see that in a wick coming down. Daily shows we are still a little topped off here. But this one's kind of been consistently holding above that 2,000 Satoshi range. We did talk about its super parabolic move it had back in basically starting in December and running into January there, and we were kind of having the debate is have we bottomed here, or are we kind of go down even lower to that 11, 12, 1300 Satoshi range, which would kind of put it where that original parabolic move began. So I think for right now, the chart's saying that we have found a bottom here. I'd like to see us build off that, but for us to do that, methodically, we would need to see a little more of a reset here.
Maybe. Yeah, I agree. I think it's good analysis. I don't know that we need a big flush, though. I mean, because you want to put in higher lows. It's just, are you going to put in a higher low is the question. So I think we got to watch our highs and our lows to see how the trend is forming. What do we have next in the chat room?
All right, we got a lot of requests here for Sia Coin, SC. Not Sia the singer, but Sia the coin, also basically spelled SIA. So
all right, so the 4-hour actually is bearish currently, only because you've gone so high so fast. It's like when you push someone someone's at the playground and they're in like one of those swings, and you know how you push them up to the top of the arc there. It's got to come down a little bit, right? So this one's got to come down a little bit, most likely. Daily chart is very hot. The only question is how much needs to come back potentially. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw a couple support lines, Big Jonas. So here's what I think. On the 4 hour, you want to see if you can hold that kind of 170 area. And if that fails, you might pull back to like that 160 area and see if that support holds. 160 would be the key area to hold on a pullback, on a reset. So yeah, we have an inside bar here on this latest 4 hour candle that closed bearish Harami, in fact. So I think this looks like it's going to give back a little bit. The question is how much. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, Chids, I agree. Kind of a nasty wick there on the 4 hour. We were pierced above that upper Bollinger there. We're also kind of pretty topped off on the stocking. Bitcoin's had a great run the past couple days here. We really bottomed out. We basically popped well over 600-700 Satoshi on our parabolic move. Consolidated, gave it a lot about that. Bottom right around 120, 125. Have a nice little impulse wave the past day or two. Money flows there, but you're right. We're way overbought. The RSI stocking on the daily has basically been pegged off for quite a while now. If this one wants to move faster, it's going to have to do a reset and kind of do a little more consolidation here. And unfortunately, because of this really quick run, especially the previous 4 hours ago, I agree that 160 range is key. If we do reset down there, I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see some money flow come in for its next move.
That's a great call. And then if that fails, I think it's 150. Let's do a couple more. What are the people asking for? Let's take care of the people, Big Jonas.
Okay, Cheds. What's up, Ian Goodman? Let's take a look at POE, P-O-E.
All right. POE's daily chart. It's pretty hot. You've had a nice recovery. It's been a nice steady recovery, actually. And I'm impressed with yesterday's candle, today's. I'm impressed with today's candle. Given yesterday's upper wick, it looks like we had a shooting star candle, and that's kind of been invalidated with today's candle. This beautiful green candle. So I'm seeing strength here on the daily. 4 hours, not bad here. We have our higher low on the 4 hour. It kind of reset, kind of a mid-channel reset. But we are getting an indecision candle. This is a spinning top, showing some indecision with the large equal upper and lower shadow here in the last 4 hour candle. What sticks out to you, Big Jonas?
Yeah, Chads, this one has had some nice price action the past couple days here. Really kind of seemed to may have found a bottom, slowly been rising in the past few days. I like this kind of steady, methodical move here. Every time it feels to get a little head of its shoes, kind of pulls back. We see that on a couple long wicks if we look at the 4 hour. But I like the price flow. I like this kind of steady consolidation. This is one of those which doesn't feel like a pump and dump, but more just kind of like a natural price action flow. However, the daily stock on RSI is showing that we are pretty much pegged off. We're actually starting to see a little divergence here on the RSI as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do a little consolidation over the next day or two. Let's kind of bring this one back, kind of add a new level of stability. On the daily, that middle Bollinger there. Let's retest that kind of in the high 370s.
370.
And see if this can't make a little bit more of a move there. But I do like how this one is flowing here. It's not doing some crazy price move. It's a slow, nice trickle up. And I like the buying pressure. I like the buying pressure. We're not seeing super dumps. We're seeing nice consolidation followed by another bullish wave. So this one is one to keep an eye on and see how it progresses over the next several days.
Yeah, I think 370 it kind of makes sense if the upper support areas fail. I just quickly drew some trend line support. You might see it on your screen right at 412, which is where where it came back to, and it just bounced 20 something hours ago, 28 hours ago. So I actually think I'm just going to say we might even form some type of a descending triangle here, where we have a lower high already, and we're putting in that lower high, and we're going to come back. I think we'll retest this area, maybe bounce off of it, and then test this trend line again. So that's just me guessing. It'd be interesting to see if that type of a consolidation pattern does form. What's the next one, Big Jonas, in the chat room?
All right, Chads, we got lots of requests here. Let's try and blast through these. Gerald B, nice to see you back in the chat. Let's look at NEBL, NEBL.
Yeah, it's been a crazy day for alts. So let's get some of these alts done, just so people know. The NEBL daily chart is pretty strong. We have broken. I'm going to quickly draw a downtrend line. So Big Jonas, on the daily chart, we have essentially broke our downtrend 4 days ago. You see that in the daily chart. We are consolidating. Is this today's candle? We are already up this much. So we are consolidating here in the upper Bollinger area on the daily chart. Wow, are we making a move right now? I'm just going to zoom in here real quick. So in this candle, which is already, wow, we have a really beautiful candle forming already 30 minutes in. I'd be tweeting this as potentially a breakout move right now. We just broke out over this prior high. Pull up the 1 hour, Big Jonas. And it looks like we just broke an interesting area here. So we're surging as we speak. What do you think?
Yeah, Chad, this is really bullish here. You're right. We just completed that daily candle we had yesterday. The previous hour to this was, it basically kind of told the story. It was looking pretty nasty, pretty red.
Yeah.
And then the bulls kicked in and put that nice lower wick in, showing, wait a minute here, a little oversold there. We have some solid support now in this 14,000 range here. And then what a great impulse candle we're having in this hour here. A little too extended. We burst through the upper Bollinger on a little overboughtness. So we're kind of coming back a little bit here. This one has some money flow and some really dynamic price action. This one's pretty interesting right now.
Yeah, something's going. I'd be watching. This one's interesting right now. So, to give some guidance, it is bullish here, but it doesn't mean it's going to go straight to the moon. It's just notable that it broke its prior resistance. We are mid-channel in the 4 hour, so that actually is encouraging if it can pick up enough steam. But we still have to worry about 15.9 area, that low 16s. So just some areas to keep an eye on. I would be cautious, although it is looking pretty strong right now. What do we have in the chat room? What's next?
All right, we got lots of love in the chat room there, Chad, tonight, so it's always great to see. Tahir would love us to do some Walton coin. Let's pull up WTC.
Yeah, Walton coin right now in the 1 hour, what's notable is we're in we're going to see a bounce here shortly. I'm not sure exactly where. We are seeing our fourth red candle come in here. I think we want to go ahead and watch that 16.1 level, which is your next likely support area, coinciding with the middle Bollinger just in the 1 hour. So that will be interesting to watch on the 1 hour. The 4 hour is showing overbought. We had some early warning signs with those two long upper shadows recently. And the daily chart is also mid-channel, which is not bad, but it's starting to pinch a little bit. So the inconclusive of the daily shows consolidation with support. It's found support. The 4 hour shows it needs to cool off, and the 1 hour shows that it has been cooling off and is approaching likely support. What do you see, Big Jonas?
Yeah, Cheds, I really think you said it all there. This one has kind of had some nice price action. As you said, the daily basically might need to do some consolidation. The 4 hour as well looks a little overbought there. Let's kind of reset this one, but there's definitely some money flowing in here. We are consistently putting in a higher low, which is what you see, what you want to see. But the 4 hour did put in some nasty wicks there on the previous 4 hours, basically suggesting that we may be topped off for now and ready for that reset.
Let's go ahead and do a few more. While you scan the chat room, I'm going to remind everyone you can find me on Twitter at BigCheds. You can at chedstrading.blogspot.com, the complete beginner's guide to cryptocurrency trading. Everything's free, by the way, on the blog. Lots of great articles for you guys to check out. If you want to know my chart method, how it works, click on Chart Basics. I talk about the different methods I use. Just while I'm here, I want to remind you guys I am not an advisor. I'm just a guy who likes to talk charts with my good buddy Big Jonas. We're just doing this for fun, for educational purposes only. I do encourage you to practice and paper trade and never risk more than you are willing to lose. What do we have next in the chat room?
All right, Chad. Yeah, I think we have time for some more alts. Maybe we'll just do those and head back to the majors and wrap it up. We have a request from Brenda Rodriguez, XEM, otherwise known as NEM.
All right, let's go ahead and pull up XEM. I'm going to start with the daily chart on XEM. I'm going to say that the daily chart appears to be bottoming. We have a decent candle yesterday, a little bit of an upper shadow, but it did put in a nice green body. 4 hour, though, is showing we are consolidating, and we are attempting to hold support. You're going to want to hold this level right here for the bulls to kind of regain their argument. So I'm going to say, Big Jonas, you're going to want to see 33.49 hold on a pullback. What are you seeing here for XEM?
Yeah, Chad, that 33.49 would put that right kind of in the middle there. Yeah, I mean, you brought up the 4 hour. We shot right through that upper Bollinger. Couple wicks there basically suggesting we were way overheated, trying to kind of consolidate. This one had a nice pop, I remember, about a week or so ago. We gave a lot of that back, but not all the way. So in theory, we are still putting in this slight daisy chaining upper, higher lows there, which we like to see. Money flow's not that bad. This one was pretty high. I think we peaked out at 12, 13,000 Satoshi. So it's come way down from that. The one thing that kind of I don't like to see is when we did have that nice impulse wave, looks like about 2 weeks ago in March, we dumped all that back there, which basically shows me that there really wasn't a lot of conviction in this holding a lot of those gains we had there. So even though we are still putting in some nice consolidation at these price points, a lot of that just kind of never held in the previous pump, and that kind of gives me a little pause here. I want to see bullish price action be confirmed by holding these higher levels here.
Yeah.
And for right now, I'm not really seeing that.
I agree with you. I'll just make a small counter argument. If I'm a hodler, if I believe in this coin, we do have a higher low in the daily chart, and we have a potential double bottom forming, so from risk reward, it doesn't look that bad, to be honest. What do you have next?
All right, Cheds, and again, shout out to everybody in our chat. It's great to see all these fans here loving talking crypto. A bunch of folks have basically requested some coins we may have already covered in this show. So if that's the case, I definitely encourage you guys to replay this broadcast. Once it's up, we may have already covered your coin. And if we are not able to get to your coin this evening, I'm sure we'll be able to get to it through the week. Let's see here. How about Quantum QTUM? Let's pull up that bad Larry.
All right, I'm going to go QTUM. Do you want to go first, Big Jonas?
Sure, we'll take a look here at the daily, kind of get a broader sense here. So, same deal after our parabolic move. We basically come down a lot, gave a lot of that back, had a pretty convincing bottom about a week ago there, and just a wonderful impulse wave there. Gorgeous green candle. Pulled us from the 164,000 range all the way up to 253,000, and we're basically consolidating from that parabolic little move there. But a couple things here I like to see is that we're kind of holding the middle Bollinger there on the daily, and we're almost beginning to daisy chain once again back up. We're a little overbought here on the daily stock and RSI. If we can pull into the 4 hour here, what I'm seeing here is, again, we're a little heated there on the 4 hour as well. We are holding this kind of tight range here, and I'm liking that the Bollingers are kind of tightening here. I would like to see that, because it can signify kind of that next leg for that next move. So as long as the money flow is coming in here, but right now we're kind of in the sideways pattern here. Really not a lot of conviction either way. Money is there, but it's kind of light. So this is kind of a undetermined chart as I see it for the moment.
Yeah, we're consolidating. We're clearly pinching here, but we're pinching on overbought conditions, which is not good on the 4 hour. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's hinting towards a short-term top. I think we put in a higher low here, right around 21 here. So we have our low around 23, and then we have this low here at 21. I guess you're gonna want to see if this support level holds. I was just scrolling back while you were talking, Big Jonas. On the 4 hour, we touched 2046, and then we touched 2031 and 2043. and 2040. So that's a critical area right there at 2040. So as we pull back, which I think we will, as the signs kind of suggest we will, you're going to want to see that hold. If that doesn't hold, I mean, you're probably going to, I mean, you're going to look around 1800, likely support area. So it doesn't look great. It doesn't look terrible, but it looks like one of these is probably going to slow bleed, is my call. Unfortunately, my friends. What do you have next?
All right, Chet, we have time for one more alt, and then we'll do the majors again.
Okay.
Connor Sullivan, looking to some XRP. Look at our old friend Ripple.
All right. Ripple on the daily chart is doing okay. It's trying to bottom. We've got that nice bullish harami. And then we had our follow-up candle today, which makes it technically a 3 inside up reversal pattern. We don't have a real big improvement on the on-balance volume yet. On the daily chart, I'm going to want to see a break and hold of the middle Bollinger. On the daily, looks like it was twice rejected, Big Jonas, for XRP. And for the 4-hour, we are actually kind of topped off, and we just got a classic doji in this position, signifying a short-term top. So this is short-term bearish in my view as well. What do you see?
Yeah, Chits, I agree. I'm actually pretty bearish on Ripple right now. Not necessarily for, the fundamentals or whatnot, but the chart really is telling me that this is still trying to find a bottom. We're kind of hovering in this sub 8,000 Satoshi range. Had a little pop a couple days ago, but the volume's still kind of weak, and this one had such a huge move coming up. I still see some downward momentum here, especially because the volume's drawing up here. There's not a lot of conviction for this to move up higher. Wouldn't be surprised, as you said, kind of that slow bleed continues.
All right. Let's finish it up, folks. It's been a great show. Let's talk crypto. I am Big Cheds, and that is Big Jonas, who's going to... Oh, by the way, Big Jonas will be joining us on Twitter soon. I know he's not there just yet. Let's see. Bitcoin. So what you want to take us away here with your final thoughts on Bitcoin, Big Jonas?
Yeah, Cheds, when we started the show, we basically started with Bitcoin, and we were looking at, a really nice looking 15-minute there. Some nice green candles there, and basically through the course of the show, as you can see, we're kind of starting to give that back again. Pretty much what I thought was going to happen based on the depth chart, and just kind of based on how the overall chart was setting up. I feel it's bleeding. If you pull the hourly up, we got a really nasty hourly that we're putting in right now, which basically is showing me the continuation of some downward pressure. The new week starts next week. We're closing out here this week. Actually, Cheds, if you can pull up the weekly chart on Bitcoin, I don't really know if we've actually taken a peek at that, but it might be interesting to kind of see, a sense of where the weekly may kind of lead us into some direction here. I really haven't even myself taken a big look at it, but we're just seeing, another red candle week. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one here. That's Ripple. What the heck? BTC USD. There we go.
Okay, we are. It's somewhat of a symmetrical triangle right now. It really depends how you want to draw it on the weekly chart. We clearly have a support area that we are holding, and we are oversold. So we just need to see some buy pressure. We need to break the upper downtrend line that we're sharing with the daily chart. What are you seeing, buddy? Are you pulling everything up okay?
Yeah, Cheds, I see what you're saying there. I agree. I mean, the stock on RSI is basically saying we're in this oversold zone here. The RSI has cooled off quite a bit. We've kind of been in this middle to lower Bollinger range here on the weekly. That's basically showing us the continued movement there. Personally, if I look at the weekly here, I see this. If this was just any coin looking here, I would see this as we have some continued downward pressure here. We had our great parabolic move. Every sell-off during our parabolic move was bought into and put in a higher high. Since we've topped off, every bullish impulse move we basically had has been sold into every time.
Yeah, but we
And the
have higher
sell,
lows. But we have higher lows as well.
well, we have higher lows, I guess you could argue, since our bottom around
No, we
6,000.
have higher lows since forever.
Well, okay, I get it, you're right. Since forever, we are
And
still
back here,
putting.
and since back, at 3,000.
Sure, but if
If
you
you're
want
doing
to talk
weekly,
about
right? Yeah.
on
So
the weekly, sure, but if you want to discuss it from, that net top we had around 19.5, 19.8, from there, every.
I'm losing you, buddy. Lost you, Big Jonas. That's okay. Let me just make sure that I am still, yep, I'm still recording. You guys can hear me. So yeah, I mean, there's an argument to be made clearly here, a bearish argument. There's also clearly a bullish argument. I am seeing almost a symmetrical triangle. We are heading.
That and the charting is that I'm seeing that this is going lower, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that continuation as we start next week.
All right. We lost you for a little bit, but I made your argument for you, or at least I tried to. I just think we're heading towards a pivot here. We don't know. We still have a clearly defined upper and lower trend line support. We still have higher lows on the daily chart and the weekly chart. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. I still think we have the trend, in our favor here for the bulls. And just on the more micro, the shorter term scale, we still have this trend line here on the 4-hour. We are currently range bound here on the 4-hour for Bitcoin. So as long as we still hold this area, I think the bulls still have a pretty good argument. If we do lose support here around 8,400, I think we're pretty clearly going to go back to 8. So I think I'm hearing you, Big Jonas. Is that right?
Yeah, Chad, that's kind of how I see it right now. I agree we are range bound, even though I'm feeling, a bearish sentiment on the chart here. The chart does suggest that we are still in this bullish pattern from our lows, last week. If we can continue to go sideways, that is a positive sign. Also, this price stability and positive side or the sideways momentum will allow some of these alts to have some money flowing into them as well. But overall, right now, I'm actually pretty bearish on Bitcoin, mostly because of the money flow that's coming in. If we're going to continue to see this 5 billion to mid 4 billion per day price flow coming in, I don't see how we can push this higher than 9 to 9.2. I wouldn't be surprised if we do try and attempt another test of that. It wouldn't completely shock me, but for right now, I'm looking for a price point closer to 8,000 than to 9,000 in the short term, that is.
Very good, very good. I'm more of an optimist. I'm going to say let's wait and see, but I think that's some really good analysis. Once again, this is Let's Talk Crypto. I am Big Cheds. That was my man, Big Jonas. Please follow me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Please read the newbie guide at chedstrading.blogspot.com. Please subscribe on Twitter. And, we do this for the love of the game. We enjoy charting, and we try to get better. So Big Jonas and I, late night, we're watching YouTube videos. We're studying stuff. We want to make sure we know what we're doing. And you guys should feel the same way. If you want to get better, you need to push it. You need to work hard. And I think you'll see those results pay off. So we love you guys, and thanks for showing up. And everybody take care. Bye.